Welcome back. And joining me now is independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. Senator Sanders, welcome back to Meet the Press.
You make me so sad.
Well, it's great to have you here. I do want to dive in by talking about the economy, likely to be one of the big topics at Tuesday night's debate. This week, of course, as you know, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Please speak on the invasion of the Balkans by the Ottomans. I don't know who this guy is, but he has so much aura and riz. This guy's awesome. I think he wants me to speak on the invasion of this is a Balkan chatter. We got a fucking Balkan Maoist in the chat who recognizes that the Balkans were better under Ottoman rule. That's what I think is going on here. Okay. To which I say, listen, chatter. At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break, and regardless of where you're at, unless you're like in Bosnia, in which case you probably won't see ads. You're gonna see 3 minutes of ads if you're not there. Yeah. So if you're not in Bosnia, then you need to subscribe for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. Why are you so silent on the fall of the Mongol Khanate? I don't want to think. That makes me sad. It hurts. It hurts deeply when I think about such sad realities, you know? The Golden Horde will rise once again. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Turan. Turan now, Turan tomorrow, Turan forever.
Harris unveiled more of her economic policies, which included a 28% capital gains tax for top earners. It really marks a big break from President Biden, who has proposed a 40% tax on top earners. Of course, when you were running for president, you proposed a near 60% tax on top income earners. Do you believe that this particular policy position is a mistake by Vice President?
Well, look, this is what I believe, Kristen. We live in a nation today that has more income and wealth inequality than has ever existed in the history of the United States. People on top, the billionaire class, doing phenomenally well. 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Gap between the rich and the poor growing wider. What I believe is that we got to take on the greed of the billionaire class and say, yes, you know what, guys? When we got 600,000 people sleeping out on the streets, when people can't afford to send their kids to college, you know what? You're going to start paying your fair share of taxes. So I think dealing with the massive level of income and wealth inequality through a progressive tax system is exactly what we've got to do.
So do you believe that 28% is enough, or should she come up? Should she boost that number?
I would go higher than that. Look, when you got 3 people on top owning more wealth than the bottom half of American society, and when billionaires pay an effective tax rate lower than truck drivers or nurses, yeah, you could substantially raise taxes on the billionaire class and the people on top. But Kristen, it's not only the need for real progressive tax reform. What we have got to address is that while there have been important gains economically under President Biden and Vice President Harris, much more needs to be done. People cannot afford the high cost of health care. Elderly people can't afford dental care despite being on Medicare. So I think what the vice president needs is a strong agenda that speaks to working people, that says, you know what? At a time of so much inequality, we are on the side of working families, and we're prepared to take on the big money interests who today have so much political and economic power in our country.
Well, let me ask you about some of her ties to big business. Top Silicon Valley companies and big name venture capitalists have reportedly been in close communication with the Harris campaign. I'm talking about Mark Cuban, LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman. From a practical standpoint, a lot of her supporters argue those ties might make sense. She's been accused of being too liberal, for example, by Republicans. Are you concerned at all about the ties to those big names, those top earners?
Dude, rich bastards hoarding wealth and complain the economy shit, make it make sense. Oh, I thought you were talking about Bernie for a second. I was like, come on, dude.
Well, Kristen, what you're really touching on is maybe the most important issue. And that is whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent, you should be concerned about the impact of the disastrous Supreme Court decision on Citizens United that today allows billionaires, whether they're Elon Musk and the Republicans or whether they are Democratic billionaires, to play a very, very outsized role in the political process. Look, you have one vote. The average American has one vote, but billionaires can start a super PAC and put hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars into defeating the people they don't like and supporting the people they do like. That is not democracy. That is oligarchy. And I would hope that every American, regardless of your political persuasion, says we got to get rid of the Citizens United and return to a nation where one person has one vote, and that's democracy, not billionaires buying elections. If your question is, am I concerned about billionaire influence over the Democratic Party? I surely am, just as I am over the Republican Party.
Let me zoom out a little bit. You have described Vice President Kamala Harris as a progressive. She has previously supported Medicare for all. Now she does not. She's previously supported a ban on fracking. Now she does not. These, Senator, are ideas that you have campaigned on. Do you think that she is abandoning her progressive ideals?
No, I don't think she's abandoning her ideals. I think she's trying to be pragmatic and doing what she thinks is right in order to win the election.
This is like me having like a Nicholas J. Fuentes to Donald Trump moment almost. Obviously, you know, we're not monstrous pieces of shit nor fascist, but like watching Bernie Sanders say, oh, she's leaning on this stuff and going to the center because she wants to win votes is so stupid, because it cuts away at the major it cuts away at all the polling he's conducted. You know what I mean? Well, oh, okay, so you gotta abandon popular progressive policies. Got it. Like, then why did you run for president? Like, oh no, her principles are there. She just wants to be pragmatic and win elections. Yeah, that's the lie that the Democratic Party tells the fucking liberals who watch media. That's the lie they told about you, Bernie.
My own view is slightly different. I think that in America today, there are a lot of people, rural people, working class people, who no longer believe that the United States Congress and government represents their interests, too dominated by big money interests. So I think that there is something wrong personally when we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all.
Like, he shouldn't say the first half of that ever. He should literally be like, or if he's going to say that, he shouldn't use that as like, she's trying to be pragmatic. Okay? He should be like, this is the same exact problem that Democrats who are well-intentioned run into, where they think the broader electorate is actually less popular. I mean, the broader electorate is not genuinely demanding change, and that progressive policies are less popular than they actually are. You don't have to glaze her and be like, oh no, she's progressive, but she's like being pragmatic. Just fucking say just say that they're doing the wrong thing.
Of our people, despite spending twice as much per capita. That is why I support Medicare for all. She does not. She has another.
Not only are you not a piece of shit like Fuentes, you also didn't make the mistake of idolizing Bernie to the point of abandoning your own ideals and analysis. Of course, I would never do that.
Approach toward moving toward universal health care. But again, I think on issues like expanding Medicare, by expanding Social Security and lifting the cap on taxable income that the rich put in so we can raise Social Security benefits, the need to raise the minimum wage from a starvation 7.25 minimum wage to a living wage. I think if you campaign on those issues, raising taxes on billionaires, you know what? She's going to win, and I think she could win big.
Well, let me just ask you then.
I don't think you're being fair to Bernie here. His job is to get Kamala elected and spread his economic ideals, and that's the only reason he's on the show. He's not going to disparage Democrats, even if he thinks that, because it counters his goal. No. Then he should never put out polling that shows that popular policies or progressive policies are popular, because that cuts away at the argument that the Democrats are making consistently. That is a direct question about whether or not Kamala Harris has abandoned her fucking principles. The answer to that should be to openly state what it is. Popular policies, progressive policies are popular. Kamala Harris does not seem to think so, despite all of the evidence that points to the exact opposite of that reality. Here I have the evidence right in front of me. I conducted these fucking polls. I paid for these polls to be conducted. Here are some of the most popular policies. Kamala should run for those policies rather than against those policies.
Big picture, do you still consider Vice President Kamala Harris to be progressive, Senator?
I do. Look, she is not where I am. But I think, for example, when she talks about making the child tax.
Progressive policies are not very popular, hence why half the country is voting for a blood and soil fascist. Yeah, you're right. We should just do blood and soil fascism then, huh? No, you fucking idiot. Things that actually materially improve people's lives, regardless of whether they're fascist or not, okay, are objectively popular even amongst those fascists. The goal is to run a good enough campaign that they forget about the fucking blood and soil fascism and they go, well, at least this person can put more money in my fucking pocket. That's the point. And also, if you do end up following through on those promises and you objectively improve people's material conditions, then they're less likely to be fucking blood and soil fascists to begin with. What's so funny about what you're saying is that, like, Republicans love Bernie Sanders, okay? Republicans love Bernie Sanders. You know that, right? Like, most Republicans like Bernie Sanders or love Bernie Sanders. He is consistently the most popular politician. Not really? Yes, really. Look at his fucking approval rating. Not a bad take. Oh my God. I think you are looking at this too simply. New Florida poll by UNFA rating, July 24th, 27. Donald Trump, 49 to Kamala Harris, 42. Rick Scott, 47%. Debbie McCarsell-Powell, 43. Legalize recreational marijuana amendment, 64. Limit government interference with abortion amendment, 69. What's your theory for why Trump is running 10 plus points ahead of down ballot GOP who have his same positions? Charisma. That's it. In a lot of places where he's running 10 plus points ahead, by the way, the people that he has are fucking awful. The people that he has are fucking awful. Like, you're talking about the exploded troop guy in Nevada. You know what I mean? Like, never won a single fucking race. Just like genuinely crazy. You got people like fucking Carrie Lake. Just a nut job. An objectively unpopular nut job. So how can you say that Bernie's one of the most How can you say that Bernie is one of the most popular politicians, yet bro can't even get past the primaries? Not saying I disagree. Yeah, it doesn't matter because the primaries are completely captive by the Democratic Party's most loyal fucking fan base. That's it. It's the literal MSNBC watchers that go out and vote in the primaries. How many people do you know that voted in the primaries? I door knocked during the primaries. I'm gonna tell you right now, there were a shit ton of people who were like, I love Bernie. They just didn't even know a primary was happening. I think a lot of you forget, like, the primary process is, first and foremost, the primary process is not like legally bound regardless. Like, the Democratic Party has actually, in the courts, defended their position to be able to put whoever the fuck they want at the top of that ticket by the end of the convention if they want to. That's why we had the superdelegates process too, on top of everything else. But ultimately, and that's why Kamala Harris is currently the fucking presidential candidate and not Joe Biden. Something to consider there, right? Beyond that, I ran the top of the hour ad break already. Please shut the fuck up. When I say Bernie Sanders is consistently one of the most popular politicians, I'm simply talking about his fucking approval rating, chat. Like, I'm not pulling this out of my fucking asshole. I'm just stating facts. I know that, like, liberals love to shit on Bernie Sanders, but that is the reality. I don't know why you're like arguing against that. Like, this doesn't mean across the board that all conservatives are in love with Bernie Sanders. I'm simply stating that in spite of everything else, Bernie Sanders is still one of the most popular politicians. Okay. His popular approval rating is at 54%. On the Democratic Party front, he's after fucking Barack Obama, dude. Wait, who's number one then? Jimmy Carter? Oh, Bernie's not really popular with Republicans, but he's the most popular Democrat among Republicans. Yes. And that is in spite of like the unimaginable amounts of fucking anti-Bernie like sentiment in mainstream media overall. Okay. Why is he not popular with Democrats? I'm interested in your take. He is popular with Democrats. He's popular with Democrats across the board as well. That's why he's number 4 on this fucking list, chat. The only difference is he's popular with Democrats as well. He's just not popular with Democrats that go out and vote in the primaries, which is the backbone of the Democratic Party, the most loyal, most trusted, most reliable Democratic Party voters. That's why I kept repeating. That's why I kept repeating a very important fact about the uncommitted campaign. The uncommitted movement campaign was really important because those are fucking lifelong team sport Dems that are voting in the primaries. Bernie's method of bringing out, similar to Donald Trump, bringing out people who normally don't vote is still untested in the general as it stands. I still believe that it would work. The problem is Bernie would never, or a Bernie style candidate would never be able to make it out the cut. They would never be able to make it out the fucking primary. Does that make sense? And if you don't make it out the primary, and if you can't get to the general, then you can never test these. Then you can never test strategy. I guess Obama did it in 2008, so he did actually prove that method. But that's it.
It's credit. Permanent. And we did that in the American Rescue Plan. We lowered childhood poverty by 40%. Kristen, we should not have, as the richest country on earth, one of the highest rates of childhood poverty in the world. When she talks about building 3 million.
You know how the Dems always ratchet right? If it was reversed and the Dems had successfully run the country for a while, the Republicans would ratchet left? Yes, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely they would. Yes, they would. Yes, they would. Now, this doesn't mean that they still wouldn't be to the right of the Democratic Party. Of course they would be. But yeah, they would. Look at abortion. Look at abortion. Look at Obamacare. Look at Obamacare. Donald Trump ran on abolishing Obamacare. Where is it at now? Why doesn't he talk about it? It's not like it's abolished. Where's that at? Where's that energy for Obamacare?
In units of affordable housing, that's a big deal because we have a major housing crisis in America. When she talks about passing the PRO Act to make it easier for workers to join unions, that's a big deal because we have to expand the union movement so the workers get decent wages. So yes, her views are not mine, but I do consider her progressive.
Senator, before I let you go, I do have to ask you about her recent endorsements by two people who are not progressives at all. Of course, I'm talking about.
This was the worst part, and we watched it already, and it fucking cooked me.
About Dick and Liz Cheney this week. They said they're going to support her. They're going